Notice to the public. If you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located at either end of the counter and give it to either the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual council members or staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their words and choice of words and actions, and comments shall be limited to the issues and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. All cell phones and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call this meeting of the Terrebonne Parish Council to order, and we will have the invocation and the pledge of allegiance by Mr. Danny Babin. Please rise.
Dear Lord, show how you use rules wisely, and when we work hard, it is the blessing from you. Let us pray for our elected officials because they often hold the keys to important changes for our community and the laws that govern us. We ask this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Dirk Guidry, Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure, Mr. Harding, Mr. Michelle, Mr. Amity, Ms. Domain,
Here.
Mr. Darren Guidry, Mr. Babin. Ms. Chairwoman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on August 9th, 2023. Moved by Mr. Carl Harding, second by Mr. Darren Guidry. Members, vote your machines. We have 9 yeas. Motion passes. And I'm sorry, before I go to the next item, would like to recognize all the members of our military that are here in the audience. We have lots of special guests from our military museum, as well as some representing our POW and MIAs. So welcome. We really appreciate you guys being here tonight. Oh, and we also have a nickel student here tonight, so thank you so much for being here. Distribute the minutes of the regular council session held on August 23rd, 2023. We don't have to. Yeah. Approve accounts payable bill list for 8/28/2023, 9/5/2023, and 9/11/2023. Moved by Mr. Dirk Guidry, second by Mr. Carl Harding. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, motion passes. Item 1, general business. A proclamation proclaiming the week of September 17th to the 23rd, 2023 as Constitution Week in Houma, Terrebonne. Mr. Steve Trosclair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It gives me great pleasure to read this proclamation. It reads, whereas September 17, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution of the United States of America, with September 17 being the date in 1787 that the founding fathers, the framers of our Constitution, completed their work at the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorial anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week in this great country. And whereas it is hereby requested that our stars and stripes, the flag of our nation, be flown in the downtown area of the city of Houma during this week to help celebrate this magnificent occasion. Now therefore be resolved that the Terrebonne Parish Council, on behalf of the Parish President, Gordie Dove, and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, in conjunction with the Bayou Lafourche chapter of the Daughters of American Revolution, hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2023 as Constitution Week in Houma, Terrebonne, and that as citizens be encouraged to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guarding of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained, and is presented on this 13th day of September 2023, signed by our parish president, Gordon E. Dove, our council chairwoman, Jessica Domingue, and is endorsed by this entire council.
Is there anyone here to accept this proclamation? You want to come up, please? Thank you.
I do have a little brief history of Constitution Week. In 2023, we recognized the 68th anniversary of Constitution Week. NSDAR President, past President General Gertrude Caraway was responsible for the annual designation of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. The DAR made its own resolution for Constitution Week, which was adopted on April 21st, 1955. Members of the United States Congress received the DAR resolution, and on June 7th, 1955, the resolution was discussed in the Senate. The first resolution was to observe Constitution Week was made on June 14th, 1955, by Senator William Noland of California. Following the passage of the resolution by both Houses of Congress, President Eisenhower issued his proclamation on August 19th, 1955. The observance of Constitution Week was so successful that on January 5th, 1956, Senator Noland introduced a Senate joint resolution to have the president designate September 17th through the 23rd annually as Constitution Week. The resolution was adopted on June 23rd, 1956, and signed into public law 9/15 on August 2nd, 1956. So it became, became law in 1956.
Thank you so much. We do have one light, ma'am. Mr. Steve Trusclair?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say one thing. I think we adopted the Constitution in 1787. So that's 236 years. I think our founding fathers were way above their time frame,
Yes.
to write this, to govern this magnificent country all these years. But I think at this point we might be trying to either outsmart them or something, because we having some problems.
Yeah.
But either
Well-
way, this Constitution it's a magnificent charter that was written, and it was written way ahead of its time.
I had planned on bringing some of the little pocket constitutions with me, but I forgot them. I have been sick this week, but I will have a display at the library Monday. They have something else going on this weekend, so I can't get it there before, but I will have a display, and I have a full display with the Constitution on it. I'll have one at the main branch and at the north branch, and I will have some of the pocket constitutions there. And I encourage anybody, you can pull it up online and read it.
Certainly.
And, more history on the actual writing of the Constitution. I don't know, a lot of people, especially the people with the World War II Museum, know Mr. Gary Phillips. He has given us a presentation on the writing of the Constitution. And it's amazing what those men went through just to write the Constitution.
Right. So thank you, and thank you everything you're doing for.
Ma'am, can you come back to the microphone, please? I'm so sorry. We have one more light. And I'm sorry, I failed to get your name and address.
Mary Guidry, 21 Bayou-Side Drive. 21 Austin Drive.
It's okay. It's okay. I do have one more light, and I do have one of those pocket constitutions, and I carry it everywhere I go. So thank you so much. Mr. Danny Babin.
Yes, ma'am, and so do I. I have mine sitting at my desk at my office. You know, besides the Bible, the United States Constitution is the greatest document
Oh,
ever
yeah.
written.
It
I mean,
is.
in all these years, it's only been amended 27 times. That's unbelievable. Look at our state constitution. We got to do it just about every year. All right, but in any event, no, this is. But like I said, besides the Bible, this is the greatest document ever written in the history of the world, and probably will be. So,
Yeah.
and again, thank y'all for what you do. I'm a student of history. I have a history major. So I love it, and I keep mine right by my desk. So.
Yeah. Well, and one thing, I already got the proclamation from the school board last week,
Mhm.
and we're gonna try and implement something within the schools itself. And, I wish we could do it at every one of the elementary schools, but adopt a classroom at one of the
Okay.
schools.
Yeah,
And
I'm sorry.
get the younger people interested in learning more about.
Well, you know, when we all were in school, we had to take civics. They don't do that
No.
anymore. Our children don't understand where we came from and where we are,
Yeah,
and that's a
that's-
shame. But again, that's out of our purview. That's the school board function. So,
Mhm.
anyway, thank you for what y'all
But-
do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Mr. Guidry. Ma'am, we have one more light. Yeah. She's in a rush to leave. Mr. Guidry.
Just as a clarify, what a lot of people think of as the Constitution, which was originally done, was actually done years later, which is the Bill of Rights. That's what we really think
Mhm.
about, because the Constitution, said all the things government can't do and how the form of government would, but it didn't say what the rights of the citizens were. And so that's why when we're talking about the Constitution, we're mostly talking in Amendment 1, Amendment 2, because that's the Bill of Rights, which is the rights that we have. But it is a good document, and it's definitely something to live by. I think it's been interpreted, reinterpreted, and overinterpreted, and but it's up to us to defend the intent of our founding fathers when they created it.
One thing too is everyone that goes into the military is, they have to
Yep, swear.
read it.
Yep. So no doubt about it. And I have my pocket constitution as well.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item B, a proclamation proclaiming September 15th, 2023 as National POW MIA Recognition Day in Terrebonne Parish. Mr. Brian Pledger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It gives me great honor to be able to read this proclamation for the POWs and MIAs, being a military veteran myself and several others up here. We really do admire the fact that we have an opportunity to be able to recognize POWs. City of Houma, Louisiana, Parish of Terrebonne, a proclamation. Whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day was established in 1979 by President Jimmy Carter, and as is commemorated annually on the third Friday of September as an opportunity to honor and recognize our brave service members who are classified as prisoners of war or missing in action. And whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day is a day to acknowledge families, friends, and veterans who are awaiting recovery and identification of missing and unaccounted for service members from our nation's past wars and conflicts. And whereas acknowledged in 2019, World War II pilot Newt Heisley designed the POW MIA flag, made in black and white to symbolize sorrow, anxiety, and hope. And whereas the POW MIA flag will be flown daily in all places the United States flag is flown, including the Terrebonne Parish Courthouse, the Terrebonne Parish Government Tower, the Sheriff's Office, and the Houma Police Department. And whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day is a time where Terrebonne Parish residents can stand with POW and MIAs and their families and support those who serve our nation in defense of the values we hold dear. And whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day in Terrebonne Parish is an opportunity to honor service members who were held captive and returned, as well as those who remain missing. And whereas National POW MIA Recognition Day and other military events help bridge the community and the military to build trust and support. Now, therefore be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Council on behalf of the Terrebonne Parish President, Gordon E. Dove, and the entire Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government that the day of September 15th, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as National POW MIA Recognition Day in Terrebonne Parish, presented this 13th day of September 2023. Signed by the Honorable Gordon E. Dove, Council Chairwoman, Ms. Jessica Domingue, and this entire Terrebonne Parish Council.
Yes, we do. If you guys would come up, please, and receive this.
On behalf of the veterans of Terrebonne Parish, I would like to thank the council and the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for recognizing National POW MIA Recognition Day. I appreciate the council for honoring the loss of service members listed as prisoners of war or missing in action. As of the latest update on May 22nd, 2023, more than 81,000 Americans remain missing from World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Cold War, the Gulf Wars, and other conflicts. And also, I'd like to go ahead and invite everyone to attend our ceremony, which will be this Friday at 12:15 in the Courthouse Square.
Thank you so much. And if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Murdoch Gilmore, 208 Maple Avenue.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Babin.
Yes, I just want to thank y'all for what you do. My father-in-law, Ray Marcella, who died 4 years ago, was a prisoner of war in World War II for around 11 months. Came out weighing 81 pounds. That's hard to believe. I probably weighed that in the first grade, okay? But 81 pounds, and he lived to a glorious 96 years old. So, you know, we should never, and we will never forget what the sacrifice that people did for us, prior to us. 4 of us up here were in the military, and we know what it's like to sign that piece of paper that says we get willing to give up to our life for our country. And I appreciate all of our veterans, and what you guys do for the POWs and the MIAs is outstanding. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Brian Pledger.
Thanks, Madam. Thanks, Madam Chair. I'd just like to expound on, in a lot of a lot of you military folks out here, you'll understand, and this is to the folks of Terrebonne Parish who may be watching. Not only that, folks here that might be assembled that might not understand the seriousness or what it really means to be a POW or MIA. They taught us in the military when I went in back in the late 80s. They taught us when we went into battle that we had to have, if it was me and two other guys, my battle buddies, 3 men in, 3 men out. Think about that a little bit. I see you shaking your head, some of you guys, so you know what I'm talking about. It's something that a lot of us, a lot of the civilian folks in the world don't realize and recognize. But it's something very serious, and I applaud you guys, and I'll be there on Friday. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you on Friday.
Thank you.
Item
Madam,
C.
Madam Chairman, for the record, John Frazier on 112 Tulip Drive, Homer.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Item C, commendation commending the Hometown Heroes banner program for its effort towards highlighting and honoring local military families. Mr. Danny Babin.
It is an honor to read this, and tonight is a good night. When we talk about the Constitution, we talk about POWs, MIAs, and then now our hometown heroes. It's a good night in Terrebonne Parish. Whereas Hometown Hero Banner Program recently began honoring 6 local heroes for the military service by placing banners dedicated to them along Barrett Street. And whereas the Hometown Heroes Banner Program provides an opportunity for military veterans and their families to be honored year-round via banners bearing their picture, name, and years of service. And whereas the Hometown Hero Banner Program was established as a collaborative effort between the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, the Regional Military Museum Foundation, the American Veterans Advocacy, and Vets United to bring awareness of local heroes. And whereas the Hometown Heroes Banner Program is one of many programs dedicated to the acknowledging and celebrating those who have served bravely in the protection and promotion of their communities and nation. Now therefore be it resolved by the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government and the Parish Council on behalf of the Parish President and the entire Parish Consolidated Government that Hometown Heroes Banner Program be commended for its efforts towards highlighting and honoring the local military heroes of all Terrebonne Parish. Presented on this 13th day, September 2023, signed by Gordon E. Dove, Parish President, Ms. Domingue, the Council Chairperson, and acknowledged by the entire Council. I would the original 6, and you can come up, Johnny. The original 6 banners that are up on Barrett Street. I'm proud to say one of them is my father-in-law, Ray Marcello, Mr. C.J. Chris, Mr. Geis, Mr. Ken Royston, Mr. Carl Daddyvo, and Mr. Glenn Voisin. If you pass in front of the museum, there's 3 on one side and 3 on the other. It's a very good initial thing to get moving in Terrebonne Parish. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mr. Will.
You guys stay up here, we'll say a few words,
He's gonna say, and I'm gonna say.
Let me know when the movie comes out.
When the movie comes out. You put that footage veterans.
My name is Will Terrier. I live at 200 Jeff Drive in Berg. I'm the president of the museum. And I want to commend.
Mr. Will, wait 1 second. They're gonna give you a mic so you can come out behind the podium.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I'm not visible?
No, Feel like good looking men in the front right here.
All right.
All right, now,
Okay.
come on, you're gonna go up here.
This is close enough.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Will Terrier, 200 Jeff Drive, Berg, Louisiana, the president of the Military Museum. And I want to commend not only the parish for their help in helping us create this Hometown Hero banner program, but for Mr. Johnny Smith, who was the leader of this whole idea of creating this. Now, we have 6 banners up already. We have 6 applications for the next 6 banners that are going up. And we hope that one day Bauer Street will be Hometown Hero Alley. And this is what we're working on. Thank you very much.
I would like to add to that for, who? What?
I'm sorry, Mr. Johnny. Introduce yourself.
Oh, my name is Johnny Smith. I'm the Chief Advocate for American Veterans Advocacy and Vets United and VDC. Mr. Will, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything else. You want to say anything else? You good? Okay, you good. Okay. This program is a program that really honor our veterans in sight where we can see them in public. So I know Mr. Carly Harding, he's gonna get a picture. Mr. Babin, you're gonna get your picture. Everybody's a hero if you serve this country. But what we really need is we really need help on getting the donations in to help get those brackets for the poles that we're putting them on. The corridor that we're looking at on Barrel Street, we're gonna go from Main all the way to 311. And we wanna put those banners on both sides of the street. We might have to double them, but I think we might have up to, Mike, what we got? About 100 poles?
I think that was like 56 from what I remember.
56?
I sent you the drawing with all the pictures. I can
Yeah.
do it again.
Yeah, okay, but we need help to get these brackets made to put on these poles. So if anybody wants to contribute to that, they can talk to Mr. Mike here or either Linda Tutu. Rick, stand up and let me see who you are, Linda. She got bad legs, so she can stand up. Okay, you have to contact her at the museum, and we really do need that money to come in for get those brackets made. So if we put up, what, 56 on that corridor there, and we renamed that, it would come all the way from Main Street all the way to 311. And then if we can get it to turn and go down 311 to the park, we would add that. But the main concern is who those poles belong to, and that has to come from the parish. And I want to thank y'all very much for doing what you're doing for us. And I think we're going to swear everybody in as a veteran now. So everybody now becomes a veteran.
Thank you, Mr. Johnny. Now, don't go anywhere. I got a few lights on, okay? Mr. Harding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yes.
Mr. Harding.
Actually, if you folk that are here and then that are listening, these 3 items that we've just actually presented proclamations for and sitting back and listening. And Mr. Trusclair, he made mention, the first one was in reference to the Constitution. The Constitution, and in that proclamation had the word freedom came in. And you look at the next one was for POWs and MIAs, and that's folk that serve in the military, they put their life on the line. And you look at the heroes and look at the opportunity that we that are here in America, those things we've been fighting for a number of years. And I remember when they flew me all the way to the Philippines, I didn't know the world was that big.
Me too.
And on an amphibious assault carrier, my first night on the ship, I slept with my head out the bed. But from a little fella that go all the way across there willing to fight for his country, I was traumatized. And we have to look at people that serve in the military. You really don't know what's going on in their head. They're putting their life on the line, and they come from small towns everywhere, and they worry about family and country. And we have to address an issue we can put as many flags as we want. We can put on all kind of programs we have all through the city. But then there's a serious problem of homelessness, mental health. These people that support these veterans, there's a problem here. It's good. I don't have to be the hero. My uncle Louis Ruffin, who has a Purple Heart, who is deceased, he's a hero.
Right.
So we have to address the issue. We can do this all we want. But I really look at all that red and I appreciate everybody here. And I'm a veteran and I volunteered. And I can tell you, I may not have been as traumatized as some other folk. I was on a ship. They didn't shoot at me. I didn't have to duck down in the cold weather and go through this and go through that. So we as Americans, we that have an opportunity to show our appreciation, we can really show our appreciation by giving them better housing, giving them better jobs, giving them better mental health, giving them better assistance, giving them better opportunity in our grocery stores and other opportunities that we have out there. Because at the end of the day, we must take care all of our veterans so we can have the freedom, so we can have those people that are willing to actually put their lives on the line. Then we have the true heroes of every American that supports another American here in the United States. Thank you very much.
Very well said, Mr. Harding, and we agree with everything that you just said. Mr. Babin.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing about the banner program. The parish worked on and continues to work on the brackets, okay? What Johnny was mentioning is we do need some donations to pay for these brackets because they do get to be a little bit expensive. Far as the banners themselves, we as the family members who have their family member up there, we bought the banners, okay? Actually, they say they last about 2 years, so I bought 4 of them,
Yeah.
okay? That way I know for
you
a
have
good
enough.
10 years,
Yeah.
my father-in-law's picture will be up there without having to replace it.
Right.
But in any event, this is a program that's just in its infancy right now, and we want to try to build on this. And the more things that we do like this, the more patriotism that we have, the more it catches on to go along with what Mr. Harding just said. That way we don't forget, okay? So it may just be a symbol, but that symbol has a lot of meaning to it. So again, thank you all. And I just wanted to pass that on.
I thank you.
Mhm.
Done?
Thank you, Mr. Johnny. Item D.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we go into 6:30 public hearing.
We have a motion to go in 6:30 public hearing by Mr. John Amity and second by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Members, vote your machines. We're in 6:30 public hearing. Item A, an ordinance to declare as surplus a tax property located at 113 Daisy Street adjudicated to the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government and to acquire authorization to dispose of said property in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 4721-96. Public once, public twice, 3 times public. Motion to close by Mr. Brian Pledger, second by Mr. Carl Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas. Motion to adopt by Mr. Brian Pledger, second by Mr. Carl Harding. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, motion passes. Item B, an ordinance to amend the 2023 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. Animal Shelter, $21,014. Rotary Plaza, $26,776. Homa Police Department, Edward Breyer Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, $12,936. Homa Police Department, LCLE Grant, $18,012. Bayou Boardwalk, $60,000. Public once, public twice, 3rd time public. Motion to close by Mr. Dirk Gidry, second by Mr. Gerald Michel. Members, vote your machines. Motion to adopt by Mr. Dirk Gidry, second by Mr. Gerald Michel. Members, vote your machines. We have 9 yeas, motion passes. Motion to go back in regular order by Mr. Gerald Michel, second by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Members, vote your machines. We have 9 yeas, motion passes. Item D, a resolution declaring a fisheries catastrophe, I'm so sorry, guys, arising from the surge of imported shrimp in unrestricted volumes. We have a motion by Mr. Amity, a second by Mr. Steve Trosclair. And Ms. Kim Chauvin, you do have a speaker card. You want to come to the mic?
Kim Chauvin at 5248 Bayou Side Drive in Chauvin, Louisiana. First off, I'd like to thank Councilwoman Domingue and the council for adding this resolution to the agenda for our shrimp fishery. Over the first 5 months of 2023, January to May, the U.S. imported 599.4 million pounds of imported shrimp. When you look up how much the American consumer consumes in approximately a year, it's about 1 billion pounds. So we're already at the 600 mark in the first 5 months. The top 7 countries importing shrimp include India, Ecuador, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, China, and Mexico. The U.S. shrimp imports are currently overwhelmingly sourced from 4 countries, of which Commerce has previously confirmed unfair trade practices in 3. In Ecuador has surged 54% since 2020, and within a year, Ecuador has borrowed from the World Bank $700 million in February of 2022. In December of 2022, another $500 million, and lately in 2023, another $500 million, as they are ramping up more efforts in the importing of shrimp. If you do the research on these countries and when they borrow money from the World Bank, you'll find out how much they actually pay back, which is little to none, and it winds up being a subsidy for that country. We are conversing with our congressional delegation about the issues of subsidies to take to the World Trade Organization to work to put a stop to it, because what they do is they come back on the American countries or on the American industries and says that it's a subsidy, and that's why the Byrd Amendment is no longer going into the industry. This is the type of information and more that we are bringing to the Department of Commerce, our United States Trade Representative, and our congressional delegation along the Gulf Coast and the East Coast, along with many of our resolutions that we have brought from many of the different parishes within our state, and that is now far-reaching into Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. This grassroots effort has taken off and it's building up. In 2023, you're looking at 92.2% of the total import volume so far, which is up from 2022 by 90.1%. So we have 5 months and it's already 1.1% up from last year. So let's get to the rest of the year and you're going to find out how much more it's going up for us. The targeting of these importing countries is showing full force that can be seen as in the past. The imports were only coming into the ports of New York and California. Now they're targeting Houston, Texas, New Orleans, and into Florida. The first 2 are the heart of our shrimp country. Remember that we need our fisheries and farmers to continually produce food, as it becomes dangerous if we have to only rely on imports for the consumption of food and for our nation. And just so you know, the parishes that have brought forth this disaster is St. Bernard, Plaquemines, Cameron, Lafourche, Jefferson. We have the town of Gene Lafitte, the town of Grand Isle, Gretna, and Westwego. So tonight is your night to recognize the importance of the Louisiana shrimp industry, to get it passed and be part of our solution. And tonight also, Iberia is taking on the first resolution that you've brought forth in that part of it. So thank you for allowing me to bring this information to you concerning our shrimp fishery resolution, and I hope you pass it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Chauvin, and we absolutely commend your efforts, because you guys have been working very, very hard on getting this done and getting these passed in so many areas, and just having awareness of the struggles of the fishing industry. I know we all know it, but it's so nice to see a voice. So I absolutely support you and support your efforts. So we have a motion and a second. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas, motion passes. Item E, informational update by Bayou Cane Fire Chief Ken Hemel regarding recent March fires. Chief?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Ken Email, Fire Chief, Bayou Cane Fire Protection District. I just wanted to come by to kind of give you guys an update of what's been happening and what's still going on. Thank you for the opportunity to do this. So far, this event constitutes approximately 3,932 acres, of which about 2,250 have burned. To give you an idea, I got in the fire service 30 years ago. And if you'd have told me 30 years ago that I'd stand before you guys and give you a report on a wildland fire in South Louisiana, I'd have took that bet every day of the week. But yet here we are. The marsh has burned in that area several times, never like this. I think what made it so different than the other times that it's burned is we are in severe drought. It has been severely dry. So all of those things kind of came together at the right time and created the perfect storm, if you will. Um, Unfortunately, the humidity that we hate in South Louisiana is actually doing us a favor right now. So this morning, if you drove in from like Highway 90 into this way, the smoke was pretty bad. And that's because the humidity was so high this morning and the little bit of fog that we did have, it just kept the smoke really, really low. To kind of give you an idea, it's where it was probably worse where our station 2 around the HL Bourgeois area, a little bit further south. So I know we're all hoping to get a nice cool front to come through, and that's great. I can't wait for it. But what we're going to have to watch is when those less humid days come in and it's really dry, it can pop up the fire conditions again. So some of the points I'd like to bring out is this is what's called around the country the wildland urban interface. And if somebody would have asked me to go to that conference a couple years ago, I'd tell you it made about as much sense if you'd sent a guy from Kansas to a hurricane conference. But again, here we are. So that wildland urban interface can be anything where wildlands and urban areas come together. Do we have wildlands here? Technically, no. Is Bayou Cane an urban area? It's getting there. So where that marshland was, it absolutely was a wildland urban interface for us. Some of the things that I think we can do moving forward, and I'm not here to ask for too many of them yet, maybe just to plant a couple seeds for you guys. As a fire protection district, we are autonomous. However, we can't pass a whole bunch of rules and laws. That's where we got to come to you guys for. And you guys have been great for doing that to help us. But some of the things we may want to consider, the city of Houma, by state law, because it's a municipality, you can't have open burning in the city. Would I stand before you and ask that we ever entertain an open burn ban for the entire parish? Absolutely not. It makes no sense. But Bayou Cane is almost everything as a municipality except the definition of a municipality. So that may be something we want to consider in the future. Some of the things we've done in the last few days, we have looked at our apparatus and decided, do we maybe need to do something a little different? Do we maybe need to move into a different direction? Does Bayou Cane Fire Department maybe need a brush truck? Again, if you'd asked me that 10 years ago, I'd have told you absolutely not. But yet, it's something that would have really came in handy. We do have some ATV vehicles that were able to get up on the levees. The problem that we faced was we basically had to sit and wait on the fire. We could not get into the marsh to get it. All the fire apparatus that we have, the ladder trucks, spraying water into the marsh really did no good. So we kind of had to decide where's the fire coming. That's where we kind of drew our line, if you will, and fought fire from there. So even after this area, which to give you an idea, if you look at the marsh that burned and is still smoldering today as a rectangle, it's bordered on the north by Highway 90, the south by Savannah Road, the eastern side would pretty much be West Main, and the western side is 311. Now, the fire didn't
get to 311, but that's just to kind of give you some boundaries. Um, one of the things we, one of the things that we're extremely fortunate for is at the height of this event, um, no homes were in any kind of imminent danger. So I guess the line in the sand that we drew was we're not losing any buildings, and we didn't. I will tell you this, Terrebonne Parish, and I think it's because what's going on in the southwest portion of the state, the fact that an island in Hawaii basically just burnt, and that's all on TV. People were nervous. People were scared. We had calls asking if the city of Houma was going to burn. Um, we had people call and ask us if Fletcher was going to burn. And you don't ever want to say never, but the answer was absolutely not. So I do think that weighed heavy on a lot of people's minds. And we took those calls and we tried to answer as many of those questions as we could to the citizens because it is a scary thing. It's not something we've dealt with before. Usually, when the marsh burns, it's a couple hunters that want to get the last few rabbits in the marsh out of the marsh. Wasn't that way this time. It just, it was something that just really blew up a lot quicker than we expected. The event actually started on, let's see, I got my notes here. It began on Wednesday, August 30th, but more than likely it resulted from a lightning storm that we had early Tuesday morning. We were hoping against all hope that nobody intentionally set this. We found no signs of that. Matter of fact, if the person that could have set it from where it looked like it'd start was able to throw something that far into the marsh, he needs to be playing on Sundays. We checked everything we could to make sure of that. The lightning data that showed up the Tuesday morning prior to the fire actually being noticed, is it exactly what happened? I don't know, but if I had to put money on it, that's where I'd say that came from. So technology, gotta love it. So from the majority of where we're at today, this morning, there's probably two areas, if I had to say, that are actually still burning. And when I say still burning, it's small fire. It's mostly smolder. To give you an idea, if you were looking at an aerial view of the marsh, there's a set of power lines that kind of come across right at the Coteau Road area. That's about the halfway point, and that's where the fires still are. It's two small fires. We're checking on them every few hours. If somebody calls about the smoke, we absolutely go out and look and check. There are a lot of people that thought the fire was going to jump the bayou that runs behind Rouse's and all those neighborhoods. It absolutely did not do that, nor was it in any danger of doing that. So I stand before you to thank President Gordon Dove and Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for all the help we got from you guys. Earl Hughes at OEP, Sheriff Tim Saunier actually assigned a couple people to us with drones that were very, very helpful during this event. Chief Harvey Parks from Bayou Blue Volunteer Fire Department, Chief Tony Bursajay from Bayou Black, Chief Chris Bourgeois from Schriever Fire, Chief Corey Henry from Houma Fire. And basically what his guys were doing was they were standing by to cover any calls that we might have had in the city, from the city into our district while we were at the height of firefighting. Louisiana State Fire Marshal's office helped us out, and they were there for anything we needed. As a fire chief, this event, I guess the best way to sum it up is we don't live in a if it can happen here world. So we need to be prepared, and that's what we do. Bayou Cane Fire Department prides itself to be an all hazard response agency, and this was just one more that we could add to the list. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for allowing me to come and give you an update, and just to let everybody know, per the Louisiana State Fire Marshal's office, our burn ban is still in effect. Yes, you can barbecue in a barbecue pit. They are basically questioning. We have a conference call with the fire marshal's office about once a week, and I don't see the burn ban completely going away anytime soon. I think at best they might regionalize things. Normally, when the fire marshal declares a burn ban, he has the authority to do that with the exception of agricultural and prescribed burns. this time, both the Commissioner of Ag and Forestry and the Fire Marshal's office got together, and it's all banned. So you can't help but ask the question, sugarcane season's right around the corner, so we're waiting to see what's gonna happen with that. But this was it was an event where we kind of got to look at ourselves in the mirror as a fire department. We went and addressed a lot of areas that we thought could have, if things would have gone bad, where could it have been? Um, and all those areas were always under our watchful eye, and we made sure that nothing bad ever happened. So there we go.
Thank you for that update, Chief Hemel. And I have spoken to several of the chiefs in the other areas. And I know it's budget season, but maybe if you guys all got together, I know we do need some fire boats. I believe we have one.
Maybe two.
Okay. Yeah, I think that some more fire boats may be beneficial, something for you guys to look at. I know you guys are already kind of talking
Yeah.
about that. But if you guys would put that in front of us, I would absolutely approve that because I think
Okay.
it's something that's needed for you. But we do have quite a few lights, so don't go anywhere, okay? Mr. Babin.
Yeah, Chief, thank you for all the good work that y'all did. And prior to the, and you mentioned that it was a lightning strike.
Yeah.
And that's good that someone did not deliberately go out there and start a fire.
Correct.
Okay, we don't need that type of thing happening in our community. Probably about a week or 10 days prior to this, Chief Burchessier, and I always mispronounce it, and actually Brian Abad from By the Lodge, we had a couple of small fires on Upper By the Lodge that were taken care of right away. But we had a smoldering fire behind Plantation Gardens, Terracane, Cottonwood Drive, Sugarwood, and it just smoldered for about a week to 10 days, and it was impossible to get to it. A lot of people had good ideas about getting airplanes and helicopters, and all those things are wonderful. They're just price prohibitive. Okay,
Absolutely.
We don't, as you said, this is not something that you'd have thought of 10 years ago in South Louisiana. Just like the people in Colorado who may have their problems don't build levees. Right. So, but the point still remains is y'all did a good job. When an event happens, you have to find your strengths as well as your weaknesses, and I think that y'all are all doing that. And the beauty about the fire department is a lot like the military. You might during the week argue with each other, but when the time comes, you're all together.
Absolutely.
And the fire department does an outstanding job in the parish, and we're fortunate to have all of y'all. But thank you very much for the response that y'all did. And one other thing, as you said, the concentration was you couldn't get to the fire to put it out. But every fire department, just like Tony and them were behind the subdivisions in the district that I represent, were there to take care of fighting a fire or protecting a home.
Absolutely.
And they may not have been able to get to the source, but because it's a lot of marsh area and you have waters and canals in between, they were all primed to be able to take care of structures.
Correct. Yes,
So
sir.
that's very important for the people to know that you are aware of that, and,
Right.
and all the fire departments are quite aware of that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Mr. Darren Guidry.
Yeah, Chief, and thank you for coming. Most of the calls I'm getting lately, in fact, I just got one that text messaged me concerning, of course, the smoke and the irritation and the problems that they're having. What should I tell the constituents as far as maybe when they would get relief or?
We really need a good rainstorm, and not, unfortunately, even though we've gotten a pretty decent amount of rain the last couple of times, and we've had a gully washer, it's not enough. One of the things that we tried to put out on our social media stuff as quickly as we could when the smoke was at its worst, and if you're getting smoke today, it's just as bad in your mind as it was a week and a half ago when it was really bad. What we try to tell them is shelter in place. I know not everybody can stay in the house all the time, but almost the same kind of precautions you would take if it was sugarcane season and they were burning the sugarcane fields. I wish I had that crystal ball. I would think if we continue with the weather the way it's been yesterday and this morning, possibly as early as this weekend, they should see a significant change. And if we could get one win out of the north, it would really, really help things. So,
And I think I did see there was like a 50-50 chance
Yeah.
of rain Saturday and Sunday. So
Yeah.
if we get I hate this,
no, I'm
ask
with
for
you.
rain on a weekend, but
But my daughter, who's 13 going on 40, um, she's been seeing a lot of the stuff I've been doing at home. And she asked me the other day, she said, thought you were a fire chief. What are you so worried about the weather? When did you become a meteorologist? I'm like, they're kind of butting heads, you know. So that's the biggest thing we can do.
Thanks,
right now.
Chief. I'll pass on that
Thank you.
message.
Thank you so much. Mr. Harding?
Hey, good to see you.
Same here.
When I saw the smoke, I called John Almady, and I went riding around. You know, man, you've been there 30 years. I've been retired from the fire department for 26 years. And I want to commend the mutual aid agreement that y'all have. I was there with Corey, with Steve Pineville when we had the conference call. We also had something down in Gibson. So
Right.
when Corey sent his folk down there to help the people that were in Gibson. And I found out when I went to Shreveport, state police was over there. We had the assurance that we had a controlled burn. Another thing about the controlled burn is the fact that you don't want to use your resources, tire your manpower out. So you made mention of something, and when I was a firefighter, there's a difference between the city and the rural areas. And sometimes the rural areas, they can get away with some things. Even in the city, sometimes they burn, and you can call. And there's no teeth really in there if you actually do something for them, unless you actually catch them red-handed and something happens. So that's maybe some consideration going down the line where we can actually have situations with the weather being the way it is, and where we can actually have a little teeth in that, because it can be rather tiring. And then that small little fire can actually turn into another Hawaii situation. So we want to give you a little more teeth. Hopefully we can actually, or whatever the system can do. And you made mention something, I think Ms. Doman, you alleviated to that, whatever support you need. So, you know, man, you know I'm a firefighter. I got you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so,
Absolutely.
well, that's the point I want to make. But most importantly, how Terrebonne Parish as a whole, the fire department as a whole, and other agencies actually came and actually supported everything. And I really felt safe when I went home.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Mr. Pledger?
Thanks, Madam Chair. And Chief, I want to echo everything that all my colleagues up here conveyed to you. But also you made a comment about going forward, you'd like for the council, Terrebonne Parish Council, to help you guys out in a sense of putting some rules in place and ordinances, which we have some things in place now, but something with a little more teeth like Mr. Harding was mentioning just now. I think that's something that should come from you guys.
Totally agree.
You and Corey and the rest of the fire chiefs get together and, you know, you guys brainstorm and figure out what will be best for us in this parish, because outside of Mr. Carl Harding up here, I don't think anybody else knows about a fire. I'm just figuring that, you know, so I really encourage you guys to do that and let us know so you can teach us.
Sure.
So we can put those things in place so we don't have, you know, events like this that happen, or, well, we can't really stop Mother Nature, but, you know, we can stop individual property owners and people here in Terrebonne Parish from making accidents.
Absolutely. We can
Thank you.
definitely do that.
Thank you, Chief. And once again, thank you so much for everything that you guys do, not just now, but always. And you know, we always support you, but this is just not another example of what great people we have in Terrebonne Parish.
Thank you very
So
much.
just keep it up. Thank you.
Thanks.
Item F, a motion to discuss with possible action regarding derelict cables belonging to local utility companies and their hazards. Mr. Steve Trosclair.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I put this on the agenda again. We've had it on our agenda several times in the last couple of years. You know, it doesn't seem like we're getting a lot of response. We've actually had all the utilities here at one time. We've had several of utility representatives here at intermittent times. We've had public service commissioners here, you know, a couple of times, especially since the hurricane. And it doesn't seem like nobody's putting any teeth into making these utility companies clean their messes up. You know, granted, the hurricane caused a lot of problems for a lot of people, but we as a parish are pushing our residents to clean up their messes, and we holding their feet to the fire to get it done. But then we got we got these service companies or utilities companies, you know, be it cable, telephone, utilities, these companies that are, they're just not doing their jobs and not taking care of the parish. Um, I, I do admit that since I put this on the agenda, I think I turned it in last Wednesday or Thursday to Miss Tammy. Uh, Seems like maybe somebody from Charter Spectrum and some of the companies must have seen it was on the agenda again because it looks like they made a big push this week. I've got a couple of pictures, and I'll ask Mr. Clay Knockout, the director of solid waste, who is in charge of grass cutting in the parish, to come up. And I got a few pictures that that happened last week, and I'd like for Mr. Knockout to explain these pictures. What happened when this happened? This happened on Shrimpers Row in Danny Babin's district, and but it, you know, it bothers me, and this could have been a really serious incident. I mean, fortunately, it was a serious incident. Fortunately, no one got hurt. Okay, we just had luck on our side, and you know, I don't like you know, using our parish employees in a luck situation. So, Clay, if you would, kind of explain what's going on, and Miss Tam, if you would, you know, as Clay, just change the pictures around.
Clay Knockan, Terrebonne Parish Solid Waste Vegetation Director. Uh, Last Thursday, I received a call from my tractor drivers on Strumpers Road that they wrapped up in cable, and this time they had pulled some electrical lines down, and there was a fire, and the driver was trapped in the cab of the vehicle. What's happening right now? There's a lot of cable. The drought is playing a issue with this because the tractors have been there before, but there's no water in the ditches, so they're getting lower. And they grabbed this one, and this line here was actually hooked up onto the. This is a cable line, and it was hooked up on the pole. And when the tractor grabbed it, it snapped the cable and wrapped around the power lines and energized it. We had actually some of the pictures. I don't know if these will have it, but there was a fire that the fire department was out there. Sleeka came out there to verify it. They de-energized it, was able to get the driver out. This time we didn't have any injuries. We lucked out. There was no injuries. With Mr. Toop's help, Mike Toop's help, we've contacted, when he sent these pictures to AT&T, they came out fast this time because somebody's life was in danger. They came out there and they showed us, hey, look, all our wires, all our cables are underground. We don't have any up here. And we knew it wasn't electrical, that it was some, and come to find out it's either Spectrum or Charter lines. Mr. Toop got a hold to them. We went out today. They actually out there cleaning all the Shrimpers Road, pulling the cables that they can see up. But I don't know if you got the next picture here. What the next picture shows that that Mr. Trosclair has. See, this is what we're talking about. The cable. It's been there. You could tell it's been there for a while. It's just laying in the ditch. No water now, so the tractors are cutting a little lower. But my operators on the tractors, once they got out, they so used to catching these wires, got all the tools, grinders, and ready to start cutting it out. It's a daily occurrence. Just at this time was the worst one, but it seems like we identified on this, especially Shrimpers Row, and Charter was out there today. I went out, took some pictures of all this is going now.
Next slide. More the same.
Yeah, this is just the cable. This is the Sleeka linemen actually cutting their power lines out that we pulled down because it was wrapped up into these cables. And you can see this you know, the tractor's riding. just doing their job here and catches these cables. Right there, this is what Salika told me. What happened is that there's a utility pole right in the middle of this cable. Most of the cables in the ground is laying on the ground, and some kind of way this got missed by everybody that the cable was still intact to the utility pole, and that's why this particular time it pulled the electrical lines down.
Okay, you can stand up, but this is something different. This, actually, I pulled these pictures off, the social media page on Facebook. Someone actually tagged me on it, and I sent messages to them to call me, and I haven't got any return calls. But this is obviously an AT&T box that was damaged for the storm. That 2.5 years later, it's still open, and you can see wires hanging out and stuff. Next slide, please. Same picture. Do it next. That's it. Okay. So that's the things that we're dealing with. And, another thing we have, a lot of is the energy came through and changed a lot of poles in the parish after the hurricane. Got many poles in my district. I know Dirk's got many in his. I know Danny's got many in his. That when energy comes in and changes a pole, they're not allowed to remove any of the other cables that are attached to that pole other than their own lines. So they move their lines to the new pole. They cut the tops off of the old poles and leave the old poles sitting there with the other lines on. The process is supposed to be, it's been explained several times to me. I finally understand it, but it doesn't work. It doesn't seem to be working. Is they have a program called engines. Okay, I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but either way, when energy changes the pole and they cut their lines, move their line, they cut the pole, they send that pole address, location to this engine's database. That database sends that information to all the other service companies that own that pole, which in theory is supposed to alert them to go move their lines to the new pole, then send it back to engines, and then engine sends it back to energy, and energy can go remove the old broken pole. Well, I know for a fact in Country Drive especially, energy came through about 6 or 7 months ago and did their thing. So you got, I think, was it 22 poles you counted, Mike? 22 poles that are cut with wires hanging on them, and nothing's been happening. Now, since I put this on the agenda, yesterday I did see Charter, and it's mostly Charter Spectrum. Charter truck there yesterday moving some lines. Now, they wasn't there today, but they were moving some lines yesterday. But it just seems ridiculous that we gotta wait and we gotta waste time at our meetings and to bring this up. Mike spends a lot of his time. I know I keep Mike on this thing all the time because I'm always calling him. And he probably sends me 20, 25 emails a week, correspondence that he's doing. So we're wasting a lot of time with these guys, and I don't know what it would take. We've had, they don't answer to parish. We have no direct control over how and what and when they do it. They work through the Public Service Commissioner's office in Baton Rouge. And we've had those guys here. We've sent email complaints to those guys. It's got to be something we can do or get somebody to do for us. I talked to our lead department, see if we could even sue. I mean, just this one incident with the cables, we lost a half a day, at least 6 hours cutting grass because of this one incident. Okay, so we had a whole crew down for 6 hours. We can't keep up cutting the grass as it is, but we got this crew down for 6 hours. We didn't cut nobody's time. We didn't cut their pay, but we're not getting production out of them. We need to see if we can charge these guys. I mean, we got to be able to do something. I mean, this is it's going on too long and too far, and I don't know what to do. I'm asking for help here. I know Mike's done everything he can think about doing. I've talked to our parish attorney a couple of times. I think we should be able to file suit against Energy because technically, in my opinion, their Energy's poles. And they not pick, if it's their poles, they should be responsible for making sure these people get their stuff off so they get their poles out. And evidently that's not the way the system's set up. So I don't know what to think. But I just wanted to bring it up because this could have been a really serious incident. And it's not the first time this was brought up. It's not the second time it's brought up. It's probably a fifth, sixth, 10th time that this was brought right here to this council. These chambers right here, not counting the individual calls that each of us have been making. And, I would hate to know that that tractor driver or anybody on that crew would have lost their life because of this. It's been hard for me to sleep at night, knowing that we've been fighting and we ain't getting nothing done. So, I made my point, and hopefully we can get something done. And it looks like I said, this week, according to Clay on Shrimpers Road, and what I saw on Country Drive today, or yesterday, maybe they're moving. But I appreciate, Clay, you coming tonight, taking your time out to come and explain this, and that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. We have several lights. Mr. Bavin?
Yeah, Steve, thanks for putting this on about the seventh or eighth time. Okay, you're right. It's terrible that we cannot get some type of action. And I know, Jules, you're gonna have and gonna continue to look into this to see what alternatives that we have. It's something that maybe we as a council can pass. And again, I just don't know if there's anything there. I trust your judgment that if you can find something that you will. In the particular, one thing that Clay said that I hope everybody heard, in this particular case here, we might have missed 6 hours of work, but he also said on a daily basis, each one of his tractor drivers has equipment on board to take care of pulling wires out, all right, and doing these types of things. So it happens every day. If we wonder why we're behind on grass cutting, it is because these things have happened. Those of us that represent the Bayer areas see this more often simply because we have the ditches. We don't have curb and gutter subdivisions, okay, where you have the underground. And that's not to say that other areas don't have it, but because of the storm and what Ken Email said tonight and what you said, we're in a drought situation. So we have less water in the ditches, so that the wires are much more pronounced. This could have been a very serious, and I want to commend your employee for realizing that that hot line was there and he stayed on those rubber tires in that tractor. Because otherwise, who knows if he'd have jumped off the tractor, would have happened. I mean, it started a fire right there just by pulling the line down. Because again, we're in a drought situation. The grass was all brown. So I applaud your employee. You called me right after this happened, Clay, and I appreciate that. We did a good job, but it's getting quite frustrating that we have to keep bringing this up all the time. And it's not, the problem is not here in Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. The problem is with the AT&T and the Charters and the Spectrums and whomever else it may be, and the Public Service Commission, because they're the ones that regulate these people. And we've all talked to David Vito with Dr. Green's office. I talked to him last week. And I hate to say we're just getting lip service, but we are getting a lot of lip service. And these big Fortune 500 companies or whatever they are, they wheel a big stick. But in any event, I'm glad your employee was okay. I'm glad that we are aware of all of these things that are going on, that we have the equipment on board to help these tractor drivers get back moving again so we can keep the grass down. So thank you, Clay, for the great work that you do.
Thank you, Mr. Bavin. Mr. Pledger?
Thanks, Madam Chair. And Clay, Steve had mentioned a minute ago about there were energy poles that he's having a problem with, which there's others too as well. But you mentioned that AT&T was out there pretty quick, right, to get their wires?
Correct. Well, to check to make sure it
Check the
wasn't
wires,
his.
make sure. I have an issue in my district too as well, where our utilities director, he's been in contact with AT&T because we have a pole that's, a few poles that are bad. So I'm asking, I sent you the picture already. Can you get with the utilities director and give him the number of whomever you had come out pretty quick?
Well, that was Mr. Toops that made the phone calls when I called him and told him what was going on.
Good. Now Ernie's been doing it, and I'm on the thread, they just aren't even answering, just whatever. Okay, yeah, that's fine. All right, thanks.
Thank you so much, and I hope you and you guys stay safe.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Item 2, public wishes to address the council. As per speaker cards, in accordance with Section 2-07 of the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter, the public will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter related to parish government without discussion or question and answers on non-agenda items. I do have one speaker card, Mr. Donnie Garner of 1005 Wallace Street. Mr. Garner, would you come up to the mic? And Mr. Garner, give me 1 second. I'm going to start your timer. You want to start it, Ms. Tammy? We're going to start your timer, and if you could state your name and your address.
My name is Donnie Garner. My address is 105 Garner Street, Homer, Louisiana.
And you can go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm here tonight asking the council, because I'm running to a dilemma, at 1005 Wallace Street. That's one of the properties that my mom have. You know, my mom is deceased, and it was half property. My uncle Laurel, he's also deceased. I'm responsible for my mama's share, which I've been taking care of since 1981. Now I have a shed right next to the house on the same property that I've been using for the last 30 some odd years for my electrical equipment. I'm an electrician by trade. Now, there have been some complaints about the house. Okay, the house been there since forever, and they say they want to get it condemned and torn down. So the council agreed and condemned it. I have been saying that I'm gonna tear it down myself. Tearing down is no problem at all with me. But I got a tin roof on the house. I have a service running off the pole that's still energizing the meter pan on the house. They hadn't had electricity on this home for the last 20 some odd years. All I'm asking is, I need that wire cut. It's funny to me because, like I said, like I told the councilman, by me being an electrician, it was nothing but a phone call for me to call the wire complex yard over there on Tunnel and tell them I need a wire cut. I got a job to go out here and do. They come out and cut the line. People that I don't even know. Here it is a piece of property that I own, I've been paying taxes on for God knows how long. I'm asking for a wire cut, and all of a sudden, I need an act of Congress to get the wire cut. And I'm asking anybody up here if you could help me out with the situation.
I'll take care of it tomorrow, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.
Have the same.
Item 3, committee reports. Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Dirk Gidry.
I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on September 11, 2023, and have 2 public hearings. Number 1, giving notice of intent to introduce an ordinance to declare surplus 2 tax properties located at 113 Burwood Drive, 9.9%, and Gussie Bayou, WW, 1.79%, with percentage interest adjudicated to the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, and to acquire authorization to dispose of said property in accordance with LARS 47:2196, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, September 27, 2023, at 6:30 p.m. Given notice of intent to introduce an ordinance to authorize the parish president to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Stark Corporation and execute necessary documents for the construction of a crisis center on removable property owned by the Stark Corporation, and to provide for related matters, and call for a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, September 27, 2023, at 6:30 p.m. Go ahead, Mr. Amadi.
We have a motion by Mr. Dirk Gidry and a second by Mr. John Amity. Members, vote your machines. We have 8 yeas and 1 abstention. Motion passes. Item B, Community Development and Planning Committee, Mr. John Amity.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Community Development and Planning Committee held on September 11th, 2023, and I have one public hearing, giving notice of intent to change the name of Summerfield Place subdivision, addendum number 18, Phase A, to Summerfield subdivision, addendum number 18, Phase A, and Summerfield Place subdivision, addendum number 18, Phase B, to Summerfield subdivision, addendum number 18, Phase B, and calling a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, September 27th, 2023 at 6:30 PM.
We have a motion by Mr. Amity and a second by Mr. Harding. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, motion passes. Item C, Public Services Committee, Mr. Carl Harding.
Yes, I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Public Service Committee held on September 11th, 2023, and I have one public hearing. And that is giving notice of intent to adopt an ordinance to amend section 21-30A of Parish Code to change the name of Southside Park to Hazel H. Navarre Park in honor of Miss Hazel H. Navarre, and call for a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, September 27, 2023 at 6:30 PM.
We have a motion by Mr. Harding and a second by Mr. Amity. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, motion passes. Item 4, streetlights. As per by Mr. Gerald Michelle, second by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, motion passes. Item 5, notice of meetings. Approving council staff attendance to the LAMSA Annual Fall Conference to be held from September 20th to the 22nd, 2023 in Houma, Louisiana, as per current travel policy. Moved by Mr. Gerald Michelle, second by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas, motion passes. Item 6, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. Item A, Bayou Blue Fire Protection District, one expired term, Mr. Lloyd A. Allen III submits an application for consideration. Motion to open, close, and appoint by Mr. Trosclair, a second by Mr. Amity. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas. Congratulations to Mr. Allen. Item B, Veterans Memorial Board, 3 expiring terms on 9/17/2023, one representing each of the following: Parish President, North of the Intercoastal, Legislative Delegation North, and the Marine Corps League, and one vacancy due to a resignation representing the Regional Military Museum Foundation. Mr. Urban Herb Piku, representing the Legislative Delegation North, expresses his interest in being reappointed. Ms. Sharon S. Chotney, representing the Legislative Delegation North, submits application and resume for consideration. Mr. Billy Burrow, representing the Marine Corps League, expresses his interest in being reappointed. Mr. Gus Marie, representing the Marine Corps League, submits application and resume for consideration. Mr. George S. Berg, representing the Regional Military Museum Foundation, submits the application and resume for consideration.
Open, close, and appoint Mr. Berg and vote on the other two.
We have a motion to open, close, and appoint Mr. Berg and vote on the other two by Mr. Babin, and a second by Mr. Darren Gidry. Members, vote your machines. Nine yeas. Congratulations to Mr. Berg. Can we get a call for a voice vote?
Yes, we need a voice vote on the other two.
We need a voice vote. First, we need a voice vote for the one representing the Legislative Delegation North between Mr. Urban Herb Piku and Miss Sharon Chotney.
Okay, Mr. Gidry, Dirk Gidry,
Piku?
Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure,
Piku.
Mr. Harding, Mr. Michelle, Mr. Amity,
Piku?
Ms. Domain,
Piku.
Mr. Darren Gidry, and Mr. Babin.
Second unanimous.
Okay, we have 9 for Mr. Piku.
Congratulations to Mr. Pico. Can we get a voice vote now for the Marine Corps League? Representative of Marine Corps League between Mr. Billy Burrow and Mr. Gus Marie.
Mr. Dirk Gidry,
Mr. Gus Marie.
Mr. Trusclair, Mr. Pleasure,
Mr. Gus Marie.
Mr. Harding, Mr. Michelle, Mr. Amity, Ms. Domain,
Marie.
Mr. Darren Gidry, Mr. Babin,
Unanimous again, Mr. Marie.
9 for Mr. Marie, 0 for Mr. Burrow.
Congratulations, Mr. Marie. And is Mr. Pico or Mr. Marie here tonight and would like to say a few words? Or Mr. Berg? Well, congratulations, guys. Item C, Tita, 1 expired term on September 9th, 2023, representing the Parish Council, and 2 expiring terms. Mr. Michael Lewis expresses his interest in being reappointed representing the Parish Council.
Open, close, and appoint Mr. Lewis and hold the other 2 over.
We have a motion to open, close, and reappoint Mr. Lewis by Mr. Babin, and a second by Mr. Steve Trosclair. Members, vote your machines. We have 9 yeas, motion passes. Item 7, vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. Recreation District Number 23 Board, 1 vacancy due to a resignation. Recreation District Number 10 Board, 1 expired term on October 26, 2023. TITA, 2 expired terms. Terrebonne Parish Tree Board, 3 vacancies due to the resignation. Airport Commission, 1 expired term on October 26, 2023. Coastal Zone Management and Restoration, 4 expiring terms on October 31st, 2023, each representing the following entities: 2 representing the public, 1 representing recreational fishing, and 1 representing property owners, and 1 expired term representing commercial fishing. Veterans Memorial Board, 1 expired term on September 17th, 2023, representing the parish president north of the Intercoastal. Yeah.
Before you go on, you may want to go back to D. I know it was pulled. But
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes. Okay. Item D was pulled as Planning and Zoning Commission, 1 vacancies due to a resignation. Mr. Leeret pulled his application. Item 8, monthly engineering reports. As per by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Second by Mr. Steve Trosclair. Members, vote your machines. 9 yeas. Item 9, announcements. Parish President, Mr. Toops, any announcements for the Parish President? All right, any council members' announcements? No. Mr. Gerald Michel, yes.
Thank you. Please, if possible, give blood. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion adjourned by Mr. Gerald Michel, second by Mr. Brian Pledger. Members, vote your machines. Good night, everyone.